I tell you what, I am extra grateful today. Being sick in a car. I mean, it's funny, it's not the first time that I've been sick in a car. Actually, because of the way my life path has gone, there's been times I have chosen to have my moments of being sick in a car over being in a house with people that I knew their energy was not in a space where it was going to help me heal. So it's definitely one of those days where it's like, I am so extra grateful to be alive. And although I can't say that sleeping in a bed in the hotel room necessarily did a whole ton for my body, it at least took some of the weight off my tailbone, which is the only thing that bothers me in sleeping in the car. I'm not even sure why. It just is. It's something I will explore at another time, but I got to see my Eamon get a great night of sleep. And him and Squeak got to sit and watch the television. We were just laughing because, like, half of the cable stations that have really good movies on them are all in Spanish, which isn't a problem. It's just he doesn't know Spanish, so it's a little complicated to watch those movies. But he found some stuff that he likes, and he's like in a grateful space that he gets to enjoy that. TV was definitely a luxury he got to have plenty of before, and so I think he's in a combination of grateful for the television and also grateful that dear old mom here took the time every year to kick both him and his brother off of tech for several weeks at a time and to take us on trips and go out camping and do many things that got us away from tech. So that, I mean, it wasn't that I ever foresaw situations like this happening, but if there were moments where tech was not available, that they would not be fiending quite as much for text, for tech, you know? I'm glad that I made that decision. Fits in with that energy that came about months ago in 2021. It was a series of fortunate decisions. Or was it a series of great decisions? Was the other one too? Like, yes, I am glad I made that decision. And now here we sit, day 7 of the 40 days and 40 nights of Venus retrograde in Capricorn. I actually changed it to Venus in Capricorn. And you know what's interesting? I was looking it up because I was fairly sure that when I started doing this series that I was off somehow to the greater timing. But I went with it anyways. My spirit team said, just do it anyways. This is your 40 days and 40 nights. And I tried to say, okay, well, what's going to happen at the end of that 40 days and 40 nights? And they were like, we're not going to tell you. And I said, okay. That means it'll probably be fantastic, whatever it is. So I was looking it up though, because I wanted to look a little bit more into the energy. And I noticed that yes, the timing is off a little bit. I'm not sure why. I will learn about that later, I'm sure. Because the official like end date of Venus retrograde in Capricorn is January 29th. So I'm not that far off. We're on day 7 right now. So being that it's the 26th, 27, 28, 29, that's only 3 days away from when Venus starts to move direct and come out of retrograde energy. And that just adds an extra 4 days. So maybe there's some emperor energy in there. I don't know. There's something significant about the timing that I did it on. That being said, the post shadow of Venus in retrograde will last until March 1st. So the energy in there is still like it's coming out of that energy. But what I find interesting, and I did not realize before, is that Venus has been conjunct with Pluto. And conjunctions typically mean they're working together, which is good. So, like, Pluto energy, typically associated with Hades, is about like transformation and taboo and seeking arcane knowledge and wisdom. It's a lot of magic. It's Scorpio's ruler, well, co-ruler anyways. And it's about like that. It's almost like Dark Night of Soul energy, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that either. I think we associate Dark Night of Soul energy as always being this like depressing, really hard emotional journey, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. You can experience your dark night of soul in many, many ways, right? But I suppose it's kind of one of those, like, if you look at any of the stories about the demigods and humans who went through various interactions with different Greek deities and Roman deities, that there was usually a way to travel through the various different dimensions and planes and things like that to succeed in your quest in respectful ways, right? So let's assume that in this energy of Venus and Capricorn, with all this integrity energy, that I've done that, right? At least mostly. There might be a couple of Gorgons that aren't very happy with me, but that's okay. They're not usually happy about much of anything, anyways. But I've been thinking about it because Mercury just retrograded back into Capricorn, which is interesting. It went retrograde in Aquarius. And I mean, it actually makes sense that it would retrograde back into Capricorn. It's just, it doesn't, Mercury retrograde doesn't always align with traveling backwards into the sign beforehand. It depends on the timing. And so now we have Capricorn energy in, almost in stellium again. And because Venus has been retrograde in Capricorn for so long, as it goes direct, it will stay in Capricorn energy for longer than it normally would. Because we went backwards and forwards. And what that means, and I've been looking it up because this is a new experience for me to observe consciously. And mostly what that appears to mean is that it's about getting your facts straight, right? And for me, that also fits in with that energy of the truth shall set you free, you know? And I've been noticing that a lot lately too. I've had a lot of people that I've interacted with recently that, like, whether I've had short interactions with them or long interactions with them, they've told me that they really appreciate that I'm a straight shooter, right? And I love that. Not only because it's so country, but because it fits with how I feel about myself. Like, there are many things that I've seen a lot of people do that were not in their integrity. It was not like they were willing to be underhanded with anybody and everybody to get what they wanted. And that's something that's always bothered me. And so instead of trying to sit around and complain about what they're doing, I just said, you know what, I can live in a way that resonates with me, you know? And it felt extra good that when I was like, you know what, not only am I going to live that way, but I'm not going to live around people who are not living in that way. I'm going to stand in my integrity. That's when Venus went retrograde in Capricorn. And both in retrograde and in direct, Venus in Capricorn is all about integrity, especially in our interpersonal relationships, which include romantic ones, but it's all relationships. Interpersonal relationships are typically you and another person, but it can be you and many people. And having Mercury retrograde in Aquarius is a lot to do with, like, the collective, like communication with the collective, and things that, like, mishaps and things like, how well does your team work together when something goes wrong? You know what I mean? And what do you need to support your team? And is your family a good team? And, like, what kind of community do you have? How are you playing a role in your community? Things like that. And then, wider political stuff. And then to retrograde back into Capricorn and mix with the honorable integrity energy of Venus and Capricorn, we have integrity meets straight facts, right? Which is why I named this video Straight Facts. Because what it feels like to me, and a lot of you are probably going to experience this, especially if you've been in a position where, well, I'm going to say regardless of what situation you're in, whether you're in a similar situation as I am, or whether you've just been stuck and stagnant in certain situations, if it's because other people have been telling your story in ways that hold you back, either just you internally, like the stories they tell have triggered your shadows and been keeping you down, or whether they've been telling other people's stories that have been keeping them from, like, helping you or working with you or things like that. Any sort of, like, dishonorable stuff. It's it's funny. What came into mind was dishonorable discharge. Like you get an honorable discharge if you have been standing in your integrity, owning your BS, owning your human side. So not even your human side. You are all human. Like owning that you are all human and that you have an ego too, owning your imperfections. And you have been doing what you can to make things right with people, especially innocents, especially kids and things like that. You get an honorable discharge. Spirit's gonna bring you many benevolent blessings of all kinds. Like, I know in the weird timing of countdown energy that I've got going on for the 21-month thing, we're heading into the 17th month. And 17 is the star card. That's wishes fulfilled, right? So it's an interesting energy going from, you may have been experiencing a fair amount of strange confusion, or maybe you knew the truth through your intuition, but the 3D was not lining up for a while as we've been in this 18 energy for the 18th month. Hearing an alarm going off over there, or I don't know, maybe it's a weird police car siren. Anyways, that's matching on what I was just talking about. But as we're going into that, it's like, the energy that you have held, especially since October 2021. But even before that, I want to say July, August, September 2021, like the intentions that you have set with the moons and with yourself and with people and things like that, the energy that you have put out into the world, and especially if you put out love, including self-love, that stuff comes back to you, in and multiplied in benevolent ways, because if you've been putting it out that way, well, no matter what way you put it out, like, we get back what we put out, right? So if you've been good, if you feel like you're on Santa's nice list, then you should be able to expect that goodness is coming for you, and that as the facts get aligned, the straight facts, there's probably going to be a fair amount of people coming to you with recognition that they did not have all the facts straight, and probably confessions that they twisted some of the facts too. And at that point, stick with your honor and be gracious. I'm not saying let them have the same space or real estate in your life that they used to have before. Depends on the person and what you know to be true of them. But, don't be them. Don't be who they were. And don't hold them in a space either of always staying that way. That's probably one of the biggest, sadnesses that I experience when I see other people, is that we all kind of get to the space of no, you fucked up and now I'm never going to forgive you because you hurt me. And how much pain and trauma that creates for us and for the rest of the world when we live that way. When you have healthy boundaries and you are not afraid to be alone and you're comfortable moving through the world in any situation, you don't have to fear giving other people more chances. You just have to know your boundaries. You have to recognize that everybody's human, In any case, I'm going to get off here because we have stayed as late as the nice lady in the front office will let us stay for today, and I'm going to attempt to go do some door dashing, so we still have some cash for the next few days. Yes. So, thank you for watching. I love your comments when you comment below if you're experiencing this energy. I would definitely love to hear it from you also. And even if you're not, maybe this will resonate with you at a later date. So thank you for watching. Thank you for donating, liking, sharing, subscribing, all that fun stuff. And I'll catch you in the next video.